I want to move on. So the final thing I want to talk about on the U.S. front here, and we will sort of bleed into the Indiana effects of this and deal with it as a unit, is the government shutdown. And it's funny, this, like, we were talking about the spate of mass shootings. We've got this government shutdown. We got troops in the streets. Like, any one of these things would be like the only story in the news in a normal news week in our lifetimes. But here we are. We're talking about, oh, the federal government is shut down here at the end of our segment, an hour plus into our show this week. So the federal government shut down, I want to say it was Wednesday the 1st, after Democrats and Republicans failed to agree on a continuing resolution for spending. We are entering the 5th day today, and Trump wants Democrats to support the Republican plan without concession. Democrats, on the other hand, are demanding a permanent extension of federal subsidies to help people afford health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, and have voted against this continuing resolution 4 times now. Republicans say the issue should be dealt with separately. I will interrupt here to ask you, Charles, do you think Republicans would, in good faith, negotiate Affordable Care Act subsidies after getting their continuing resolution?
In a word, no. Just, I mean, let's. I mean, if you look at the totality of what's occurred, okay, they have zero interest in looking after basic human rights, and that's where this really all boils down to. Healthcare is a human right, just like housing, just like being fed. These things are something that should be fundamental to our everyday existence. And yet these folks are hell bent for leather on kicking people off of their health care or seeing their premiums triple in some circumstances and cases. I mean, it's insane. Now, is the ACA perfect? No, not by any stretch. It wasn't meant to be perfect. It was meant to be a springboard to get us further down the road to improve the country as a whole. Unfortunately, the Republicans have been dead set against doing any of that because it lessens corporate profits, it lessens the for-profit healthcare system, and it just so in a short answer to the question, that wasn't short, but short answer to this, absolutely not. They're not going to negotiate in good faith to do any of that. If anything, they will say, okay, give us our money now, and now we're going to go continue to do all these other horrific things that we've been doing anyway. That's what their intent is, and they've shown that card every single vote, every single vote.
Yeah, we've talked about it, throughout the show already. The Trump administration governed by extortion. They govern like a mob boss, and they're going to extract this concession, and then not only will they not negotiate, they'll take something else. So let's continue looking at what's going on with this shutdown. So pay has been suspended for roughly 2 million federal workers, with approximately 750,000 of them ordered not to work, and others, such as troops, like Blythe mentioned, and air traffic controllers, are required to work without pay. Social Security Administration will continue to issue retirement and disability benefits, but will furlough 12% of its staff. Payments will likewise continue under Medicare and Medicaid. SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, will continue operations as funds allow. The post office will continue to deliver mail. Like we said, the air traffic controllers will continue working, but without pay. Most TSA employees will continue working, according to a statement from the agency. And approximately 2 million U.S. military personnel will remain at their posts without pay until the shutdown ends. So, Derek, now, is this one of those instances where federal employees who are forced to work without pay could be the folks to bring this thing to an end? That's what happened, I believe, 5-6 years ago during the last government shutdown. TSA workers basically said, you know what? We're not working out without pay anymore. We're not coming in. That ended the shutdown relatively quickly.
I remember that shutdown quite well because at that time I was working for um, the logistics agency, the DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, and we actually had to go into work because we were still routing stuff to our military. So we had to still come in. I loved working for a couple weeks without pay. Um, the really fun part is we didn't get the back pay.
You
Usually
didn't.
no, we did
Wow.
not get the back pay. Congress never voted it in. Congress
Mhm.
has to vote into back pay
Was
for.
that just you and your folks doing similar things, or was that all
I
of the
know the
government employees?
DLA did not get paid, and I believe DFAS in general, because I worked up at DFAS up in Lawrence, and yeah, I mean we did not get that back pay. So
Oh,
I mean we worked for free for 2 weeks. What was it? 3 weeks.
Yeah, and
Um,
there, Derek, there was a story I just heard from friend of ours that they were National Guard, and the first shutdown happened, or the last shutdown happened, cost them like $10,000 that
yeah,
and they still to this day have not gotten that
yeah,
payback. So this has some real long-term horrific ramifications for folks. You
oh yeah.
know, it's amazing.
So
this
I mean
goes
it.
to show, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Blythe. I'm sorry.
This goes to show how disconnected this administration and the wealthy is from humanity. I didn't realize that it's not good, but I thought that back pay was a thing. Like you go without pay and then you get caught up, which is hard enough. But people making these decisions don't understand how detrimental that one paycheck is for us.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that makes or break uh, your life, your insurance. Like it is destructive. And the ultra rich, the people in power or the people who want power don't understand that. They have no idea what it's like to live like that. And that's so horrible.
Yeah, they've never had
Yeah,
to make the
and
decision between keeping the lights on and putting food on the table, or hell,
Yeah.
even trying to put gas in the car to get to work to maybe afford food the next day.
Especially
they've
in this
never.
economy.
Right, right. Well,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Jesus.
yeah, I remember being an E3, and E3 pay was nothing at that time. But I mean, when you're sitting there, like you have to do all this stuff, and you might have $20 at the end of the pay period to maybe do something. And what do I mean, how do you, if you don't have that real world experience of that struggle, you're not going to understand it, and you're not going to care about it.
Yeah.
And you're right. These ultra wealthy folks that have all these things.
yeah,
They,
stick a pin in
they,
that. We're going to see a real nice
Sorry.
example of this coming up as we talk about the shutdowns effects in Indiana here in a moment. But
Oh yeah.
Derek, yeah, that's scary that you guys didn't receive back pay because usually, there have been a handful of government shutdowns in the last 30 years. I
Mhm.
think it was Newt Gingrich that really popularized this technique, and it's always been Republicans that have used the shutdown to extract concessions. The Democrats finally do it. It's the end of the goddamn world, right? So, like, what are we fighting about here? So, the Democrats are using what little bargaining power here they have, and they've settled on these ACA subsidies as something they can try to extract and that are largely popular and a lot of people depend on. But to be frank, like this government in any meaningful sense has been shut down since Trump's inauguration in January 20th. So, it's not working like a proper federal government should. But so this is like one place Democrats have leverage. They are, so the law, the big beautiful bill, the big stupid bill
Sorry.
passed in this summer, it clawed subsidies and healthcare away from a lot of people. So it leaves 10 million more Americans uninsured by rolling back Medicaid expansion and making changes to the marketplace. It removes those premium subsidies that allow people to afford healthcare. It also restricts payments to states for medical assistance including emergency care furnished to anyone who isn't a citizen or lawful permanent resident. Now, in 1986, under raging leftist Ronald fucking Reagan, Congress passed a law requiring that anyone in need of emergency care receive it, regardless of who they are or their ability to pay. So Republicans are using this language here to skew the facts and say that Democrats are shutting down the government to provide health care for free to illegal immigrants. Now, are illegal immigrants even able to get free health care, right? So, undocumented immigrants are largely ineligible for federal health benefits. They don't qualify for comprehensive Medicaid coverage, Medicare, or the Children's Health Insurance Program, and they can't purchase subsidized healthcare plans on the ACA exchange. There are immigrants on Medicaid in the United States. These are so-called non-citizen enrollees. They account for about 6% of the total. These are people who are here legally. Not
paying
being a citizen.
taxes.
Not being a citizen is not the same as residing in the United States illegally. There are many ways to live here as a legal resident without getting full U.S. citizenship. And this is where this thing gets messy. So the Trump administration, what they've done this year is revoke people's legal status.
Mhm.
So they've been here legally the whole time. For example, DHS canceled this humanitarian parole from the Biden era for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans. And DHS also revoked the temporary protective status of some Venezuelans, Haitians, and others. So these are people who were here legally, and now the Trump administration is designating them illegal to say, look, illegal immigrants are getting healthcare coverage. Blythe, am I reading that correctly? Is that what's going on? And is this even a fair argument?
They always spin things to make it look like they're correct, and they are not correct. And what they're really hiding is the fact that our immigrant neighbors and family and community are not only amazing human beings, but by and large, they're paying more taxes than Donald Trump or anyone who has millions of dollars at their disposal.
Mhm.
They're paying a large percentage of their paychecks to Medicare, to Medicaid, to Social Security, and not receiving the fucking benefits from that. So it's all everything that comes out of this regime is all a spin. It is all propaganda. It is all manipulated and misinterpreted, and people who believe them just eat it up. But we have to remember, over all of this, the approval ratings are tanked. So they've got a small percentage of the population that still believes them. But most people are realizing that this is really bad and it's not going to get better, whether it be Braun or Trump or any of them. So this is their extinction burst. They're grasping on for dear life.
Yeah. Charles?
I would just Blythe hit it perfectly on the head. But the one thing I wanted to mention, and what we tend to forget as a society and as a nation, we are all immigrants. Humans as a whole are immigrant. We migrate as a species. Okay,
Yeah.
so this idea of a human is legal or not legal or full, it's all just a matter of a piece of paper. And unfortunately, like you stated, with a flick of a pen, they said, okay, all these folks that you guys met all the requirements and did all these things, guess what? You don't matter anymore. And it really makes you question, if rights can be extinguished by a stroke of a pen, were they really rights in the first place? Rights should be rights, period, end of story, full stop. And if you did everything right and came into this country the way you're supposed to, then you should have all the benefits and protections thereof. Now, if you're not, if you And that's the sad part. They've made it to where if you miss a single thing, guess what? You're out. You're done. And it's
Yeah.
going to be the same thing with medicine. Or with, if they get through the whole thing they want, you miss one one follow-up statement or whatever. Where does it make sense? Make it make sense, because I can't get there. I just
It doesn't.
Yeah,
They
and that's
have
the thing.
to keep with this lie. And you mentioned human rights earlier. And here's what I wish would happen is that we somehow codify either in our constitution or the oaths that we take as soldiers or military personnel or elected officials what a human right fucking is. First and foremost, a human right should not be partisan. It does not belong to any
Yeah.
party, and both parties need to be fucking standing up for human rights. Safe water, safe air, safe food, safe shelter, safe education, real education, safe existence. Voting should be a human right. Bodily autonomy should be a human right. Living, regardless of where you originated, is a human right. We cannot have a working, functioning country without immigrants, which we are immigrants. Anyone who is white was not originally fucking here. This land is stolen.
Yeah,
Human
it's-
rights are not partisan.
Liberal. How dare you say those things?
I mean,
Why?
You know
why
what?
does it even
Own it.
have to
Own it.
and that's a blanket statement for people who disagree with me. I think human rights should be awarded to everybody. My fucking Trump loving neighbor who would probably rather shoot up my house than agree with me on this should have access to human rights.
yes. Yeah, they're human rights for all humans.
Yes.
Let's
It's
look at
nonpartisan.
the
We should not be arguing about it.
Yeah.